Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his Freebird Bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge, I fought the troll and
Right, welcome to episode 18 of the TechBytes audiocast. I'm Tim and I'm with Gordon and Roy here tonight. We're going to be covering a few subjects. It's been a few days since our last audiocast. We're going to be looking at a few copyright issues, a few Microsoft issues, and our Linux news as usual. So without further ado, we'll crack on, and I'll introduce you over to Roy, who's going to start us off with the first topic of the night. Roy?
Yeah, I think Google is the main topic recently as far as Linux is concerned, if you care about Linux. But what they introduced are a few things, actually. They have the browser component of the operating system and of just the standalone browser. So for those who don't know, they had a certain event planned for the 7th of December. And they introduced things to do with Chrome OS, which is the operating system they say is supposed to service devices with keyboards. And they had Android news. They said that that now they activate 300,000 devices per day. Activation is not exactly a sale, but it's still a very impressive number that kind of exceeds Apple's numbers. And the Chrome OS news involved some demos and people receiving these sort of laptops, proper laptops, and not just sub notebooks, and doing some reviews of these. I wonder what your opinion is on these things before I give my opinion on these platforms.
Gordon, I'll let you have the first shout at that.
I don't know what to make of Google OS as a device. I can see the appeal of a device that resets itself as far as malware is concerned. If there's any malware, it resets itself upon reboot and gives you a fresh image. I can sort of see the appeal to that. On the other hand, it's based on Linux. It's built on Linux. It's not as if it's like a Windows platform that's very prone to that. Linux is already reasonably battle hardened out of the box for that. So is there any really need for that? Obviously you're appealing to the Windows trained majority who they just assume viruses and all that's just an everyday comes with every computer. So I don't know, and that kind of seems. I suppose from the point of view, you control the platform, you control the user's experience, that's fine. But I've yet to be convinced on on Google Chrome OS yet. As far as the idea of people being given demo units or bribed or whatever, I don't know. I've seen a little bit of reports of that, but. I don't know. I think that's just the norm, really. And the question is whether they're actually given the good reviews because of that, and whether they're doing the whole failing to disclose that they're getting the freebies, the free units, and that's a sort of side thing. If they're disclosing it, if they're being fair and honest about it, despite the fact of getting a free unit, then fine, I've no problem with it. It's when they hide it.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be a hypocrite, because I saw they were trying to say to people who are friendly towards Linux and trying to send it. Well, first of all, I don't think they have to send these units back, and they were selectively doing this with specific people, which I thought was kind of similar to what was done with Windows 7 and with Vista before that. So I actually expressed my concern. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't apply different standards to Google than I do to other companies. And Apple's doing that as well. Lots of people don't know they were sending people sort of a beta version of the iPad before, just weeks before it was properly exposed to the public, and they were trying to target journalists and former journalists and all kinds of things with a free present. So.
One of the things, just quickly, one of the things that Google has either in its favour or counting against it, depends on whether you've got an internet connection or not at the time, is whether you've got an internet connection or not when you're using it. Because any cloud or internet service-based OS, and where everything is essentially done in the browser, if you don't have an internet connection where you currently are, then that machine is completely useless to you. It can be very light and very fast, presumably, when everything's working. But if you don't have a net connection, or if you have a slow connection, if you're out somewhere in the wilderness, excuse me, it's very little use to you.
I mean, all I'd add, and I think you've covered most of the points, both of you there. Firstly, can I apologise if people are listening and Gordon's audio is phasing in and out. I don't know how it sounds at the moment because we haven't heard the playback, but we've had a few connection issues, probably the bad weather again. So I apologise for anybody who's got any sound issues their end. So all I was going to say was I'm actually for. I've said it before and I've said it on previous shows. I think the desktop or even the operating system now is becoming largely irrelevant. We all communicate with each other online with a multitude of platforms. I could talk to a Windows user, vice versa. I'm all for the Chrome operating system. I think it sounds a fantastic system. I think there's a lot of fear around the cloud. I think there's a lot of fear around, and I think it's unwarranted fear. Looking at my desktop at the moment, most of the applications that I use require a net connection anyway. And if I was to unplug my internet now, a lot of my applications would be useless anyway, and they're all stored obviously locally and they have no data locally. So I think the migration for most users to the cloud isn't such a big step. Certainly have things like Google Docs and et cetera, and no storage in your hard disk. But I'm just trying to wrap my brain as to what I would actually require to be stored locally anyway. And I find personally, if my internet's down and I can't tether my mobile phone, my computer isn't on. It has very little purpose to me whatsoever. Maybe I'm a unique user there, but no, certainly I think the Chrome operating system is quite exciting. I think it's another choice for the end user, and I think that's a very good thing. I think splitting up the monopoly that's currently on the desktop, or hopefully not on notebooks, but splitting up the monopoly of the desktop operating system or the mainstream operating system is a good thing, and I think we'll see better products in the future because of it. Like Roy says, mentioning about the free gifts, Gordon touched on it as well. I think it'd be very hypocritical of us if we didn't highlight any freebies that weren't disclosed. Certainly when Vista was being reviewed, I know a lot of people that were reviewing it didn't declare that they had a free system, and we covered some of those people at the time. And of course we have to apply the same thing to Google, because just like with a lot of magazines that receive the gifts and review models, a review is very different if you're not having to pay for something. If I have to go out to the shops and spend £200 of my hard-earned cash on a piece of hardware or a piece of software, it would be a very different review to if I got that piece of software for free, especially if it might be under the premise, and I say might, of being able to get some more stuff in the future. So I think disclosure is very important. As long as it is, then people can judge on the merits of the reviewer and review as to how accurate that particular review is. So yeah, basically, as long as there's disclosure, I've got no problem with the freebie ethos itself, as long as it's clear to the reader of the article.
I think there's another distinction as well. I mean, I don't use any quote cloud unquote stuff. I don't particularly use Google services either. But the difference with Google is the fact that a lot of the stuff they actually do, they do it well, and they do it in a way that people want to use it. People voluntarily use Google services because they like them, because they are arguably the best at what they do, whether it's image sharing or video sharing or blogging or, a whole lot of things, mail, Google offer very, very good, compelling services that people want to use. And even if the whole operating system wasn't Google-based, I think a lot of people would still use those Google services on Windows, on Linux, on the Mac. So